Imagine this for a moment. You're in a conversation about inflation, rising debt, or central banks printing money. And sooner or later, someone says the same thing. We should just go back to gold. The idea feels comforting. A time when money was stable, governments were disciplined, and currencies were tied to something real, not just numbers on a screen. For more than a century, the gold standard has been remembered as this kind of golden age of money, a system that kept everything honest. No endless money printing, no runaway inflation, just a simple rule. Every unit of currency is backed by a fixed amount of gold. But here's the problem. That version of the story is incomplete. Because when you actually look at history, the gold standard didn't prevent crises, it didn't stop bubbles. And when the world faced its biggest economic shocks, the system didn't hold strong, it broke. And it broke fast. So the real question isn't whether gold sounds like a good idea, it's this. If the system was supposed to fix money, why did it keep collapsing? To answer that, you have to go back to a time before modern finance even existed. Long before central banks, complex financial markets, and trillion-dollar economies, people needed something simple, a way to store value and trade with confidence. Money had to be trusted across borders, across generations, and across completely different societies. Gold turned out to be incredibly good at that. It doesn't decay, it's durable, it can be divided into smaller pieces, and most importantly, it's scarce. You can't just create more of it overnight. For centuries, civilizations used gold and silver as money because they carried value people universally recognized. But the modern gold standard, the system people talk about today, didn't really take shape until the 19th century. By the late 1800s, major economies began tying their currency directly to gold. Countries like the United Kingdom led the way, fixing the value of their currency to a specific quantity of gold and promising that paper money could always be exchanged for it. Others followed, including the United States and much of Europe. For the first time in history, the world had something close to a unified monetary system. Exchange rates became stable because all currencies were linked to the same underlying asset. If every currency represented a fixed amount of gold, then their values relative to each other barely moved. And on the surface, it worked beautifully. Trade expanded, investment increased, global markets became more connected. Businesses could plan long-term without worrying about sudden currency swings. Between 1870 and the outbreak of World War I, the world experienced one of its first major waves of globalization. It looked like stability, it looked like success, but underneath that stability was a flaw that would eventually break the entire system. Because the supply of money was tied to the supply of gold, and gold doesn't expand just because the economy does. Think about it like this. As economies grow, they need more money circulating, more credit, more liquidity, more financial flexibility. Businesses expand, populations increase, trade grows. All of that requires a larger money supply. But gold supply depends on mining, and mining doesn't always keep up. Some years, new gold deposits are discovered. Other years, almost nothing changes. And when the economy grows faster than the supply of gold, pressure builds. That pressure often shows up as deflation, falling prices. Now, falling prices might sound like a good thing. Cheaper goods, lower costs, but in reality, deflation can be extremely damaging. When prices fall across the economy, businesses earn less, profits shrink, companies cut back, jobs are lost, and at the same time, debt becomes harder to repay. Imagine borrowing money when prices are stable. Then suddenly, everything you sell becomes cheaper, but your debt stays the same. Your income drops, but your obligations don't. That's exactly what happened to many people during the gold standard era. In the late 19th century, this created massive tension, especially in the United States. Farmers who relied heavily on loans were hit particularly hard. As crop prices fell, their income declined, but their debts remained fixed. Many found themselves trapped. This led to one of the biggest monetary debates in American history, the fight over whether to stick with gold or expand the money supply using silver. The argument wasn't just economic, it was political, it was emotional, it was about who the system benefited. Supporters of gold argued it created stability and trust. Opponents argued it restricted growth and punished ordinary people. And that tension never really disappeared. It just built quietly in the background until the system faced its first real test. That test came with World War I. War on that scale required enormous resources. Governments needed to fund armies, weapons, and entire wartime economies, and that required something the gold standard didn't allow: flexibility. Under gold, governments couldn't easily expand the money supply. Every unit of currency had to be backed by gold reserves, but in wartime, that constraint became impossible. So, one by one, countries abandoned the system. They stopped converting currency into gold, they printed money, they borrowed heavily. The rules that had defined the global economy for decades disappeared almost overnight. And that tells you something important. When survival is at stake, the system doesn't hold, it breaks. After the war, many policymakers believed they could bring it back. They thought the gold standard had worked before, so restoring it would bring stability again. But the world had changed. Economies were different, debt levels were much higher, and trying to force the old system onto this new reality created serious problems. One of the most famous examples came in the United Kingdom during the 1920s. The government decided to return to gold at its pre-war value, effectively making their currency too strong. The result? Exports became expensive, industries struggled, unemployment rose. Economist John Maynard Keynes warned that this would happen. He argued that forcing the economy into an outdated system would create unnecessary pain. And he was right. The real breaking point came with the Great Depression. When the global economy began collapsing, governments needed the ability to respond, to lower interest rates, increase liquidity, and support economic activity. But under the gold standard, their hands were tied. If they expanded too much, they risked losing gold reserves. So instead, many countries tightened policy to protect their currency. And that made the crisis worse. Banks failed, businesses closed, unemployment soared, global production collapsed. The system that was supposed to create stability was now amplifying the downturn. Eventually, countries began abandoning gold again. The United Kingdom left in 1931. The United States followed in 1933 under Franklin Roosevelt. And something interesting happened next. Countries that left the gold standard earlier tended to recover faster. Once they were free from its constraints, they could lower interest rates, increase liquidity, and support growth. The system that once symbolized discipline had become a limitation. After World War II, there was one final attempt to rebuild a gold-based system through the Bretton Woods Agreement. This time, instead of tying every currency to gold, the system was anchored to the US dollar, which itself was linked to gold. For a while, it worked, but over time, the same problem returned. There were more dollars circulating globally than gold to back them. In 1971, Richard Nixon ended the system by removing the dollar's link to gold. And that was it. The gold era was over. What followed wasn't collapse, it was expansion. Global trade grew, financial systems deepened, economies became more complex and interconnected. But instability didn't disappear. Inflation still happens, financial crises still occur, markets still rise and fall. And that leads to the deeper lesson. Gold never actually solved the core problem of money, because money isn't just about what backs it. It's about trust, it's about flexibility, it's about how systems respond under pressure. Gold can create discipline, it can limit excess, but when that discipline becomes too restrictive during war, crisis, or economic collapse, governments abandon it every time. That's the pattern history shows again and again. There's no perfect system, only systems that work for a time, until reality forces them to change.